Did you guys see this, by the way? I think it's interesting because it's a reminder of what I guess many reasonable people have long suspected, which is that a lot of the market drive right now is so keyed in on insider trading that investing is being driven by bots that are keyed in on Trump's tweets and praise as like a central heuristic. You know what I mean? IBM stock surges plus 7% after 6-month-old clip of Trump praising its CEO resurfaces. So this makes absolutely no sense in any like rational evaluation of how the market works, unless what you think it is and what you assume it is that a clip went viral, bots picked up on it, scraped the information, Trump praises IBM CEO, and then invested in accordance with it because historically speaking, the stocks that Trump praises do very well because he's so, keyed in on insider trading. AI does most of the automated trading now. Yeah. But it's like a reminder of how fake this all actually is. Attention-based trading. No. I don't think humans are doing this. Market looks like gambling, but it's actually fraud. Yeah, if it was gambling, there'd be at least a chance of the house losing. Can't you then play such a clip and manipulate the market? Yeah, of course, but like Trump doesn't even need to do that. The market manipulation is very open. Remember when Trump praised Palantir and then included their stock ticker, I'm blanking on the term, the letters right after it? Remember that? Oftentimes when Trump praises a company, he'll just straightforwardly say, you should invest in this, and then show you the stock name to invest in. Trump praises Palantir on Truth Social after buying company stock, record show. Like he'll just buy stock, or his money people will, and then he'll tweet, you should buy it, and then the price goes up. Like he does it all the time. It's just funny to remember how little humans are actually involved in this process, Scary and predictable stat. In the US, spending on data center construction now exceeds spending on public transportation infrastructure, including airports, marine terminals, and all mass transit. Now that's what I like to call a functional society. Speaking of the corporate stock end of things, as we discussed earlier in today's stream, the stock market right now is behaving very bullish, posting all-time highs constantly, though the gains are very narrowly concentrated among a tight core of companies. The SpaceX IPO is going to be ruinous. Absolutely ruinous. It is going to be really, really, really bad. So to summarize where we are right now, the rules have been changed for the SpaceX IPO, the initial public offering, so that general index funds can be invested in it much, much earlier than would normally be the case. I think normally you need 90 days before a newly listed stock gets added to index funds, but in this case, it's being added after only 5 days, which means that whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not, your like broad NASDAQ index funds, your retirement funds, your fucking boomer 401ks or whatever, all of them are going to get dumped into the SpaceX IPO, which will likely be the largest IPO in human history. And then, as is often the case with IPOs, the price will drop and the money in your accounts is going to go to the fucking floor. IPOs often post records that vastly exceed the valuation of the company for years and years afterwards. In other words, it is maybe the biggest rug pull in history. The biggest rug pull in history. Isn't that crazy? It's going to be the biggest rug pull in history. Like, unambiguously. And it's legal. Well, breaking the law is legal now, so, SpaceX sets aside up to 5% of shares in its IPO for certain employees and friends. Oh, I bet. And they'll be able to sell when the price is at its highest. But if you have your shit in an index fund, you're not going to be rerouting your fucking your 401k or your retirement savings or whatever else in time to pump in them. There might not even be like enough liquidity in the index funds for you to be able to sell out in time. How do you get out of this if you're invested in index funds? I mean, you can tell your brokerage to pull your funds out of the market, but that's not going to happen immediately. I mean, depends, you can reallocate, you can move it. You'd have to contact Vanguard or whatever. It's only American index funds. I mean, it's anyone who's invested in the stock market. I mean, it's not like index funds on the London Stock Exchange. It's being listed on the American Stock Exchange. Move it to bonds. You don't have to move it to bonds. You can just pull out of the market and then reinvest at the right time. Hey, Benjamin, looking forward to rug pulling America with this IPO. Free money? Free money.
I'm a guy that's into space. I hope we go to Mars and all that stuff. get turned into a way to transfer wealth from ordinary people who are just trying to save for retirement to people like Elon Musk is just depressing.
SpaceX is going public this month. It could be the biggest IPO in history.
It could also make Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire.
Didn't we watch this already? I think we watched a short version of this, not the full video, but it's really, really, really important. We've talked a lot about financialization of the economy lately, and this is kind of like the rot. It's really fucking bad, man. It's really, 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 really bad. Who linked this? 3 companies are about to IPO at a higher combined expected value than all 2,600 .com IPOs from 1995 to 2000 combined. I'll repeat that because I stammered a little bit, and I think it's really important to internalize this. Anthropic, OpenAI, and SpaceX's IPOs are expected to produce more money than all 2,600 .com IPOs from 1995 to 2000 combined, adjusted for inflation. It is very, 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 very possible, not guaranteed, but possible, that this is the bubble bursting. That the bubble will be the few days where SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever else, it could happen at any point. Sometimes it takes years. I'm just telling you general market mechanics here. I can't predict a date. That for a very brief time, the numbers will be the biggest, the bigliest they've ever been, the bigliest they'll ever be, and then it all comes crashing down. Because the Anthropic, OpenAI, and SpaceX, I mean, they're already tied to the Magnificent Eight. You know, we're talking about a very incestuous market environment where a downturn in the valuation of one company can affect others, like, say, NVIDIA, right? Or Microsoft. So normally after an IPO, can somebody please find me the graph? I saw it on Twitter, like I see all things. Can somebody please find me the graph of IPOs from the .com bubble after, the way they declined? How a lot of them took over a decade before their valuation returned to the point they were at the peak of the IPO. IPOs, especially IPOs with a fuck ton of lead-up hype, often have a massively overvaluated entry followed by a decline. So this was Cisco, Amazon, Qualcomm, and NVIDIA peaking at the .com bubble and then declining afterwards. But it is a reminder that we are in a very unique stock market position right now, with the constant all-time highs being posted day after day after day after day after day after day after day. The grifting will continue until morale improves. The morale might be about to improve considerably and then drop off very, very rapidly afterwards. If the AI bubble pop coinciding with the IPO decline from Anthropic, OpenAI, and SpaceX would be economically ruinous in a way that I don't really think we have a precedent for. I don't really think we have I don't think we have anything to compare it to. Remember, this is what Epstein wanted? Yes, that is true. Epstein explicitly wanted this to happen.
Millions of Americans like you and me are about to become SpaceX shareholders. We won't buy a single share.
The reason why I described it as a bag holder situation is because it feels like it's getting engineered to be one.
Bag holders, IPO, valuations. Sounds complicated. It's supposed to. But you don't need a finance degree to understand it. You need 10 minutes. The whole scheme hinges on something you've probably heard of. Index funds. A good chunk of American retirement savings are tied to them. You pick a fund, it picks an index, which picks the stocks. You don't think about it. That's the point. Index funds are supposed to be safe. Passive. The rules are the rules. Except, if you look closely, the rules seem like they're being rewritten to make people like Elon Musk fabulously wealthy at everyone else's expense.
Every piece of evidence we have is that the IPO is being engineered to rise very rapidly after
Bronze Age collapse time. Our great-grandchildren will not know if China exists. People merely a few generations away from us will speculate on them the way one talks about myths. They will not. The wastelands formerly known as the United States will be filled with people who are borderline tribal in their relative civilizational development.
Prices and then fall very dramatically after that. That is a recipe for retail investors especially to take large losses.
Here's how the scheme works and what you can do about it.
So are there really 3 hours of questions? Or has it? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
I have to be careful about saying things about companies that might go public.
Here, get ye ass to the summary because I only have a little bit of time.
Over time, year after year, to other trading firms, to asset managers.
NASDAQ changed a rule that shapes trillions of dollars in retirement savings. No regulator approved it.
If an index wants to change how it's going to include...
Again, the NASDAQ changing the rules so that index funds can be invested into SpaceX is unprecedented. They have not, to my knowledge, they have not done this before. Like, it's insane. They're just doing it to pump up the bubble. The NASDAQ, the index itself, is committed to pumping up the bubble as much as possible.
certain stocks in that particular index.
This is not an abstract problem. They are literally stealing money from hundreds of millions of retirement accounts.
It's not something that has to be approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Upwards of $30 trillion is being directed by a process that's effectively self-regulated.
I think at some point we are going to have to say that these are incredibly influential investment advisors in practice, and they should be regulated and supervised accordingly.
Because it's not just SpaceX or NASDAQ.
You can see how, one index provider getting the ball rolling would perhaps lead other index providers to follow.
You've probably heard of the S&P 500. It's the most powerful index in the world. Bloomberg reported the S&P is considering its own version of what NASDAQ just did. They'd shorten the seasoning period, and they'd let the largest companies in without ever showing a profit. The reason isn't a mystery. OpenAI and Anthropic are both expected to go public this year at massive valuations. Neither is profitable. There's no regulator watching. The only check is the index provider's own internal comment process. NASDAQ just ran one of those. When I asked NASDAQ if the change was made because SpaceX demanded it, and if there's a conflict of interest in being both an exchange and an index provider, NASDAQ never answered the conflict of interest question.
Their fall wouldn't be off a cliff. There will be multiple crashes and signs beforehand, and in the last days, the federal government will try to save these companies. So that's the problem. And this is why we're in unprecedented territory. The federal government does not have enough money to prevent anything from happening here. Not even close. Not even remotely close. This makes the dot-com bubble and the 2008 bailouts look like nothing. There's not enough money on the planet. It's not like a print more money situation. It's not possible. A significant portion of all of the money on Earth is invested in these funds. There's no, like, the U.S. government is not capable. Income tax doubles to bail. Income tax doubling wouldn't do it. It would not even close. There's just not enough money. We have put too much money in the bubble.
But did say that the rule change reflects how markets have evolved. The consultation, they said, followed industry standards. The S&P is running the same playbook on the biggest index in the world. Their comment period is open. It closes in early June. Anyone can submit a comment, including you.
Yeah, good luck with that. I think the people doing the biggest rug pull in human history are probably committed to the, immoral and illegal path they're on. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure, I don't know how much your public comment is going to really do, to be honest with you. Berkshire Hathaway knows that the end is nigh. Jesus, man, no kidding. 32% of Berkshire Hathaway's assets are now held in cash. That's a lot. Berkshire Hathaway now controls more than 5% of the U.S. Treasury bill market. Thank God there's one ultra wealthy guy and, his company committed to the other way of making money. You know what I mean? Like, not stock market insider trading, but like just having the biggest pile of cash on earth and sitting on it and watching it sprout more dollar bills like a tree regrowing its leaves in spring. A different style of dragon horde. How are things at the border? Great, nobody's coming in. Divesting and going into cash is what you do when you expect a crash. No, I know. There's a reason why my Roth IRA is not invested in the market right now. I'm sure if I'd put it there a couple years ago, I would have appreciated the gains. But even if I had done that, I would be pulling it out of the market right now. It's gonna be fucking bad, dude. It's gonna be really, really, really bad. You can't time the market? Nah, you shouldn't even try. Like I said earlier, I don't think index funds even have the liquidity necessary for you guys to benefit from the pump and dump. Like, if you have a bunch of money invested in the NASDAQ, even if you try to sell when the IPO is at its highest valuation, I don't think you'll be able to sell it in time. Like, you'll put in the sell order to the broker, and the broker will be like, okay, I'll try, they won't be able to do it in time. Yeah, scary. Stream pause for no reason? No, I stopped talking and I wasn't moving very much, but I can understand the confusion. The SpaceX IPO is really going to be the first domino that takes everything down. S&P 500 rules are waived to fast track SpaceX into the fund. Mutual funds will be forced to buy SpaceX stock using retirement funds and 401ks. SpaceX is now tied to XAI, which loses a shit ton of money. XAI is tied to NVIDIA. NVIDIA is tangled into every AI company in existence, and we're already seeing cracks. The biggest rug pull in human history, man. Index providers waive the profitability requirement, cut the seasoning window from 90 days to 5. This forces over 30 trillion in passive 401k and retirement money to buy SpaceX at IPO valuations. Bloomberg Intelligence estimates S&P 500 funds must absorb 19% of SpaceX's float within 6 months. Russell 1000 and NASDAQ 100 funds will absorb 24%. Insane the government can just force you to invest in something? Well, not quite. The NASDAQ and so on are private and self-regulating. It's that you've invested money into an index fund, and the index fund spreads that money across the stocks available, and if they're making it so it's not really the government forcing you, outside the fact that the government structured retirement and 401k savings accounts to work this way in the first place. So I guess it is the government. It is. Yeah, it is. The 401k accounts and the retirement accounts and so on were structured to enable this kind of market fuckery. So like in the long run, yeah, it is. It is the government doing this, you know. Do you think this could cause mass civil unrest or protests, or unlikely? A bunch of people finding out that, like on the same day, that Elon Musk is a trillionaire, and also that their retirement accounts have dropped like 30% of their value, would probably send a couple people over the edge, you know?